Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited. We are into another application season. Our Spring 26 application is currently open, and we just thought it was a great time to get together and to kick off our application season, our Spring 26 application season. So my name is Jackie Panto. I am the Associate Director of Admissions for Penn Engineering Online, and I am joined today by Morgan Bajano. And Morgan is our online admissions manager. And Morgan works very closely. She manages all of our admissions counselors, and she puts together a team that works with all of you and helping you to get ready for the admissions process, hopefully helping you with all of your questions that have to do with the application. So Morgan is somewhat an expert on our application process, on our admissions process, and she's here today to share lots of information with you. So before we get started, I just wanted to kind of go over a little agenda on how we're going to work the next hour. First, what I'm going to do is I am going to go over a little bit about our programs and talk to you about our programs. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why Penn Engineering Online. Then I'm going to turn the presentation over to Morgan, and she is going to take a deep dive into all of the application elements. She'll spend time on each element, and she'll give you some really good information and some point out some really good tips about each of the elements to help you to prepare that application and to get it submitted. Once Morgan's done with that, she'll turn the presentation back over to me, and I'm going to talk over important dates and deadlines. This way you can lay out a really good timeline so you know where you stand, when things are due, if there's things that you need to work on. You have all the dates and the deadlines so that you can lay out a good time frame and a good timeline to get those applications submitted on time. Once I'm done with that, we're going to leave about 20 or 30 minutes for Q&A. We're going to try to do our best to answer all of your questions. I know some of you submitted questions when you registered for this webinar, and we will be reviewing those at the end. But we're also going to give you an opportunity to submit questions throughout the webinar. So you see on the screen some good webinar information. I always like to call these housekeeping tips. Number one, keep in mind that we are being recorded. So there is no reason to frantically take notes. If you forget something that we said, you're going to be able to go back to this webinar. You can watch the whole thing or you can watch portions of it. But it's good to know that all of our webinars are housed on our YouTube channel. It is a great resource. Our past webinars are a great resource to learn about our programs, to learn about all of the many resources that are available to students, to hear from professors, to hear from program directors. Even we get many applicants that say, I'd love to talk to a current student or I'd love to talk to an alumni. We have many, many webinars that feature current students, that feature alumni. So you can go back to those webinars and you can hear what those students or what those alumni and graduates are saying about our programs and their experience. So our past webinars are a wonderful resource to learn learn a lot about our programs and our community. So questions are extremely important during this whole webinar. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure we're answering your questions. So the way to do that, use your Q&A function on Zoom. Find that Q&A function, type in your question. I think we have pretty much almost our entire admissions team is behind the scenes ready to answer your questions. So we're hoping for lots of questions. So you want to make sure you're typing those questions in the Q&A toolbar, and we will answer there. We will type out the answers to those questions right in that space. In addition, some questions will be saved for the end of the presentation. We're going to have about 20 or 30 minutes towards the end. Morgan and I will be answering questions live on the screen. So one way or another, we will do our best to get all of those questions answered today. So hopefully that sounds good. All right, so let's go in and talk a little bit about Penn Engineering Online and what our programs are all about. So first on the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit about our Penn Engineering Online programs. So we offer 3 online programs. We have our MCIT Online, which is our Masters of Computer and Information Technology program. We have our MSEDS program, which is our Masters in Science and Engineering program in data science, our Masters of Science in Engineering and Data Science program. And then we have our MSE AI program, which is our Master's of Science in Engineering and Artificial Intelligence program, which is our newest program out of the three. So MCIT Online is our flagship program. This is a program that was designed for individuals that had absolutely no computer science experience or very little computer science experience. So this is a way for individuals that have a bachelor's degree in any major whatsoever, but are interested in a career in computer science. This would be the program for them because they don't have that undergraduate degree in computer science. So MCIT, you can have any undergraduate degree and apply to this program. The knowledge that's conferred in this program is the same knowledge that's conferred in a traditional CS computer science program. Okay, so basically learning the same, coming out with the same skill set, the same knowledge conferred. And again, it's designed for any major, but the key ingredient for the MCIT online program is having a quantitative ability, and you need to be able to prove quantitative ability on the application. That is important. So we look for all of the math courses that you may have had in your undergrad or your graduate program, math courses, other quantitative courses. Proof of quantitative ability is extremely important. Morgan will talk a little bit about that, and she'll talk about the ability to use a GRE or a GMAT as a tool for quantitative ability as well. Our MCIT online program is 10 courses. It's 6 core courses and 4 electives. And again, that program designed for any major, anybody working in any field. You do not need computer science experience for the MCIT online program. Our other 2 programs, which is the data science program and the AI program, those 2 programs, you do need a background in computer science. So for our MSEDS program, there's three areas that could qualify you for this program. Number 1, if you have a computer science undergraduate degree, then you qualify to apply to the MSEDS online program. If you have a minor, maybe you don't have a degree in computer science, but you have a minor, or you've taken 4 computer science basic core courses in your undergrad, then you would be qualified to apply. This would be a good program for you to apply to. And then the last area that you might fit into is we have individuals that come from a highly quantitative undergraduate degree. They're a math major, they're an engineering major. So they have some sort of a highly quantitative undergraduate degree, such as math or engineering, and they've been working in the field, either as a data scientist, a software engineer, or some other related field that involves heavy coding experience. That individual would be eligible to apply for the MSEDS online program. Okay, so either one of those 3 categories would allow you to apply for MSEDS. The curriculum, again, is 10 courses, and it's 4 core courses, 4 technical electives, and then 2 open electives. Okay, and this is for individuals that are really looking to take a deep dive into the field of data science. All right. Then our last program, which is our MSE AI program, our artificial intelligence program. This is a brand new program. Spring 26 was our first cohort for this program. And this program, you definitely need to have a computer science undergraduate major or computer engineering. So you need computer science or computer engineering degree for this program, or the equivalent. And what the equivalent would mean is a program that may not be called computer science or computer engineering, but it's the same courses that would be offered in that program, or the equivalent program that are offered in a computer science or a computer engineering program. So it has to be the same courses in order to be an equivalent program. Okay. And again, individuals that are interested in the AI program, they're really looking, really obviously heavy focused on everything that has to do with artificial intelligence and really building that skill set for now and for the future as well. This curriculum, again, consists of 10 courses. It's 7 core courses, 2 technical electives, and 1 open elective. You can go on our website, each one of the programs, you can go into academics, and it'll lay out all the course offerings for each of the programs in our course catalog. Okay, so that's a brief overview of the programs, what it takes to qualify for the programs. And now what we want to do is go ahead and take a deep dive into the application. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to Morgan. Morgan, the floor is all yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you for all that information. Like she said, we're going to go ahead and take a deep dive into the application piece by piece. So let's go ahead and start with that first important piece of the application, and that's going to be your resume. So a couple things we want you to know here. We are looking for your resume to be a typical resume in the regard that it's going to show your functional job skills, the breadth and depth of your experience, the general timeline of your work experience, highlighting things like leadership and accomplishments. But you can expand a bit here from, say, a traditional, very concise job application resume and include some things that are relevant to our program, relevant to computer science, relevant to online learning even. And so this is going to be our really like insider standout tip about our resume is providing all of your relevant information, really including anything computer science, quantitative, certificates, or online learning. And we are also referring to MOOCs, graded or not. So we love to see graded coursework. We are going to touch on that on a few different regards, but we do see a lot of applicants pursuing online learning through MOOCs, through Coursera, certificates that are professional based. All of those are great to include on your resume to show us just that much more information for us to assess and see ways you might be successful based on skills you've earned within the job or in the classroom. So a couple specific examples we see related to coursework, for example, for applicants who are international and maybe have some math courses that are very generic titled Mathematics 1, Mathematics 2, and they'd really like us to know that it was a calculus course or differential equations course. And so they might make a section on their resume that really highlights quantitative coursework, title by title, with a little description if necessary. So that's one example. But in a section with all online learning is something that might be unique. So spend some time in addition to your traditional job experience and all of that important information we still want to know as well in your educational information. Think about anything else you've done extra, even if it's on your own time, and think about how to format that and show us that. Yeah, the resume is really a tool that you can utilize to brag about yourself. We do accept up to 5 pages. Usually a couple pages is sufficient, but don't limit yourself to just a super concise one pager. Think about all those things that might demonstrate more aptitude, more experience. Um, yeah, so that's I think the most important things on the resume. So let's go ahead and move on to that next piece, which is our personal statement. So we've got a lot of bullet points here, and these are the actual questions in your personal statement. So we have these specific questions we want answered throughout your personal statement. So we've even seen applicants submit this as a general Q&A format, but in general, we still see a narrative format, which is great. But we don't necessarily need very flowery language. We don't need a personal connection anecdote for every single question. We're really looking for the answers to these questions, which is why our most important tip about this piece is to answer every question. It seems really simple, but it is something that can put applicants at a disadvantage if they're missing one of those answers we really want to know. And they can certainly tie into each other as you see how are you going to benefit, how are you going to succeed. And we want to know who you are. Tell us your story within the context of these questions, but we don't want you to worry too much about, again, writing a very flowery narrative essay format. Focus more on these questions and spend some time thinking about the answers for yourself. How are you going to incorporate 15 hours per course per week into your workload, into your lifestyle? That is something we need to know. Um, that last question there, I'll just do a special note there for MCIT applicants. If you feel like you may be a little bit overqualified, maybe you're not starting from the beginning, but MCIT is the program you're most interested in, this might be a good place for you to explain why you feel like it's a good fit for you. So again, utilizing every single question to add that much more information for us. And in general, we see about 1,000 to 1,500 words. We're not going to run it through a report and cut you off at 1,500 words, but that's what we generally see as sufficient to answer these questions. So answer every question. And that is our most important thing for their personal statements. All right, let's see. What is next? Our transcripts. So transcripts, I'm going to go ahead and start with our most important tip here and work backwards. We need everything. We need all of your transcripts. That one semester you took at a community college, probably even a study abroad semester, we need everything for your application to be complete. And with international programs, while not required during the application phase, you might want to consider a NACES evaluated option to ensure your transcripts include everything we need. And let's talk about what we need. So we need them uploaded in a PDF format. We need them to be in English. We need them to include everything that you have taken and grades included, not diplomas. We do need transcripts. And when we come to talk about grades, if it's on a scale that's not a standard 4.0, we need to know what to do with that. We need a documentation scale of some kind. And so when you have an international transcript, that's what those NACES evaluations will provide you, as well as a course by course evaluation, a GPA conversion, translating it to English if necessary, because we do still need them from English speaking countries, that we need those GPA scale conversions and all of that good stuff. So during the application cycle, we do not require this formal evaluation. If you have translated unofficial transcripts that you can submit for all of your institution, that is sufficient for your application. If you are admitted though, you will need that formal NACES evaluation. And so that's why another reason you may consider it just giving you that information in advance. It's going to provide you every single piece that we need for those transcripts. So we do recommend starting this process early just to make sure you have everything in. Everything has to be in by the deadline. That's really important. Every single transcript has to be in by the deadline. So this is going to be our most important thing for you to come away with is you need all transcripts on time with every single requirement listed here. All right, so let's talk about letters of recommendation. So for letters of recommendation, we require 2. We suggest you maybe consider 3. Again, they have to be in by the deadline. So we are going to recommend you ask people early. And who are you going to recommend? Who are we going to ask for you to recommend? People above you on the chain of command, not friends or family. These can be academic or professional. So in the professional sense, which we do see a lot of folks who are removed from their school time, so you may not have an academic connection. That's totally fine. We don't have a preference for academic versus professional, but let's talk about those professional references. We are looking again for people above you on the chain of command. So direct supervisors are great. We understand a direct supervisor or 2 is not available to everybody. So some additional options are, again, additional leadership. Maybe they're not your direct supervisor, but they're still above you. They are a leadership on the leadership team, and they can speak to your work, very importantly. They can speak to your successes. They can speak to your experience on the job and your potential for success. So how are you going to submit these? We are going to tell us who these folks are and their email address, and they will submit this directly to us through a unique link. So you can submit your application by including their information and wait for them to submit their letters of recommendation. And you can even send reminders through our portal, which we recommend utilizing because an important part of this critical tip is following up. So you want to ask people early that are above you on the chain of command and follow up. You want to give them plenty of time to do so, but send reminders. You can use our Slate system, you can use our email system, or do so yourself, of course. But when it comes to what we're looking for in that letter, here's a few important things. They do need to be in English. We prefer letterhead when possible. We understand there's certain times that security measures, or maybe they're not associated with an organization anymore. that's fine. If access to letterhead is available, that is preferred, and they will need their signature and their name, and the organization that they are with. We typically see them range from a page or two. So those are some general guidelines you can provide the folks that you're asking. But to sum it up, what we really, really want people to know about submitting your letters of recommendation is to ask people early, follow up with them, and make sure you are asking the right people, people who can speak to your abilities and who are above you on that chain of command. All right, so let's talk about test scores. So English proficiency is a requirement depending on if you are an international applicant, a non-US citizen, or a non-US permanent resident where English is not your first language. So there's a few different ways that we have waivers in place as well. But if this does apply to you, again, we need it by the deadline. That is our most important tip here. We need all of these test scores by the deadline. So we need them directly from the testing center to be considered official. Scores are generally valid for 2 years, but we have 3 different testing centers we do accept, and you can see the various scores here for an example, the TOEFL score being 100. Something important here is to make sure your name matches your application. We do see a lot of applicants who may have a slightly different version of their name with documentation, and we can always assist with that. So the second part of our most important tip here is reach out if you need any assistance at all. And that applies to questions about your waiver as well. So you can have a waiver for this requirement if you have a degree that was conferred in the US at any time before starting here at Penn Engineering Online. You can get that waiver if you have English as the official language in your school as the medium of instruction or the official language. So if it's the medium of instruction, for example, that would be something we need from those international transcripts. So really important here is sending them by the deadline and reaching out if you have any questions at all, because we do get a lot of questions about this. So we want to help any waivers or name match issues, anything like that. We're happy to help. All right, so test scores for GRE. So this is optional, but it is a great tool if you'd like to prove quantitative ability or recent academic success. So that's going to be the thing we want you to take away about GRE and GMAT as well, specifically for MCIT, is it can show both quantitative ability, which is really important for the MCIT program, but it can also show academic success in a recent time frame for all of our program applicants. So again, it must be received directly from the testing center. It does need to be received by the deadline. It's really important. We need everything in by the deadline. So if you're considering taking that exam in the future for your next application cycle, start considering that timeline now. And then they are valid for 5 years. So GMAT does work for MCIT, and we can always assist if you have any issue sending it to us. And again, if you have any name matching issues, things like that, we can always assist. But when it comes to a program like MCIT, because we're accepting applicants from all backgrounds, any degree is fine. We need some way to assess your quantitative ability, some way to know you'll be ready to go in rigorous quantitative computing online coursework. We want to make sure you're set up for success. And so maybe you didn't take any calculus, maybe you didn't take any algebra, or maybe you took them a really long time ago, or maybe you did need to take them and you're not super happy with the grades. You don't feel like they're representative of what you could do now. The GRE is a great tool. We do also see applicants maybe go take a course, and that is certainly another way to show quantitative ability. A graded course is really what we're talking about here. Some kind of grade or a score like the GRE is our highest proof of evidence to show quantitative ability when it's coming to the MCIT. But regardless, if you have older coursework, let's say you've been out of the classroom for 10 years, maybe you've taken an online course here or there, but you really want something to add to your application, one more tool, that GRE can be something that we see applicants really utilize to show that they're ready to get back into the classroom, that they have that academic mindset. Just one more thing for us to assess that you're going to be ready to dive in. All right. So we are going to take a quick pit stop and talk about tuition and financial aid because that's a burning question we get in all of our webinars. And so we do just want to make it really clear what costs are and then also a financial aid opportunity that is currently available. So you pay for your courses as you go. As we said, all of our degree programs are 10 courses. And if you're taking one course that semester, that is the amount that you pay for. And so our current course tuition is $3,675 with a course fee of $162. So that is your tuition. There are payment plans within each semester as well, but that is the cost that you can expect. Now, we do have traditional financial aid on campus, federal financial aid, and all of that good stuff. But we do have one internal scholarship that we'd like to show you. It is available only during the early application cycle, which is right now. So that is August 4th. And Jackie will talk about all of our dates and deadlines, just so you know. But this is an opportunity unique to the early application cycle only. It is available every semester as well, every application cycle. It is available to US citizens and US permanent residents. It is a need-based scholarship, and you apply for it just directly within your admission application. It's a couple additional questions you fill out about yourself and your financial situation, and it is, again, it's a need-based scholarship that we have available. And that's available for all three programs, no matter which program you are applying to or accepted for. So you would receive funding throughout the duration of the program and have a minimum GPA requirement to maintain. And that is really the most important funding opportunity we do want to highlight. And again, we receive a lot of questions about tuition. So we hope this really makes it clear for everybody the cost that you're paying and some additional funding you may have available to apply for. So again, that's the early application cycle. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the full application cycle and the deadlines and some of that application piece. I'll go ahead and turn that back over to Jackie.
Great. Thanks so much, Morgan. Great tips on all of our application elements. And again, if you have any questions pertaining to those or need some clarification, please go ahead and type that out in the Q&A section, and we'll do our best to get that answered, or we'll answer it live in a little bit. Okay, so what I wanted to do is just spend some time on talking about dates and deadlines, and so that you can come up, with a good kind of time management plan for getting your application in on time. So first of all, Morgan talked about all of these elements, all of the elements of the application. See lots of questions just when I was looking, what can I do to make sure my application stands out and all that good stuff. And basically the bottom line is we review every application holistically. So like take a look at how we lay out and what we tell you about each one of those elements, and look at each element separately and make sure that each element is the best that it can be based on what Morgan just described and what you're hearing. And that's really the best way to make your application stand out, is to kind of listen to what we're telling you and go over each element individually. So when you submit your application, when you apply, when you hit that apply button, you're going to have that resume uploaded to your application. You'll have your personal statement uploaded to your application. And as Morgan mentioned, you're including all transcripts. Usually one of the biggest issues that we have when we get a submitted application is applicants forget. Maybe they went to two schools or a school or two before they went to their final university where they had their bachelor's degree or their degree conferred, and they forgot about those earlier schools where they took some courses. Typically, on the transcript, it just shows the credit received and doesn't show the grade. We need that grade. So that's why Morgan said it's important, all transcripts for all schools attended. So you want to make sure you're disclosing every university and then uploading those transcripts to the application. So again, you're uploading resume, personal statement, all transcripts, and submitting a $90 application fee. That's what gets submitted. Letters of recommendation, like Morgan mentioned, you're putting in the contact information on your application for those recommenders. Those recommenders receive an email from us with a unique link they upload the letter of recommendations themselves, the recommender, and then it attaches to your application. What you're going to need to do is keep checking. You want to check and make sure that that recommender does submit their letter of recommendation, that your letter of recommendation on time and by deadline. So that's important. And then again, if you're submitting a test score, if you decide that you need to submit a GRE, or if you need an English proficiency test, you need to make sure that those scores are sent in time as well. And that's in addition to submitting your application. So again, once you hit that submit button, it doesn't necessarily mean you're done. It means you still need to follow up on your recommenders. It means if you need to submit an English proficiency test score, you need to make sure that test score is getting to us. And if you're submitting a GRE, you need to make sure that score is getting to us as well. So the job isn't necessarily done once you press that apply button, and that's something that's important to remember. We do have a great application portal. So once you submit and you press that submit button and you want to check on things, when you log back into your application, it's going to go to a really neat checklist portal. It'll show you what's still missing. There'll be big red X marks if something's missing. So if it's getting down to a week before deadline and you're still missing those letters of recommendation, you see those red X's, you want to contact your recommender and nicely ask them to get it in on time. Otherwise, we will not review your application. Okay. Or if you're missing a test score, you need to look into it. So being able to log in to see the status of those missing items is extremely important. And you'll have that at your fingertips when each time you log in to see where you stand. So let's talk about those dates and deadlines. Like we said, the application is open. It opened up just a few weeks ago on June 2nd. Morgan mentioned we have an early application round. The application deadline for the early round is August 4th. That's when the scholarship is also due. So if you're interested in the Dean's Master Scholarship, you must apply. Your application in total must be in by August 4th, or you will not be able to apply for the Dean's Master Scholarship. That is the only difference between early and regular. If you apply to early, you can apply to the Dean's Master Scholarship. If you apply for early, you'll get your decision earlier. If you see there on the list, decisions are returned on September 12th, which is about 2 months earlier for when regular decisions are returned. Okay, so you're going to get your decision earlier. If you look at the regular decision deadline, that deadline's October 15th. So you have all the way to October. So if you're not interested in the Dean's Master Scholarship, you have a lot more time to work on that application. If you need to take a course somewhere to prove quantitative ability and to submit that transcript with the grade, you'll have time to do that. If you want to take the GRE, you can take until October 15th. You can take that test anytime between now and then and have those scores sent to us. But keep in mind, those scores will be due on October 15th. So allow yourself the time to take the test and get those scores into us by October 15th. And again, decisions will be returned on November 14th. All final deposits or commitments are due by December 12th. And then our onboarding course will start in December. Classes start in January after the holiday break. Okay, so that kind of breaks down timing when things are due. But keep in mind, we get a lot of questions, if you have a better chance of being admitted if you apply earlier. The chances are the same. Everything's the same between early and regular. The only difference with earlier is that you get your decision sooner. And if you're interested in the Dean's Master Scholarship, you must apply to the early decision round. Okay, so that gives you a good kind of a overview of dates, deadlines, how to check your application once you submit. So hopefully you can go ahead now and plan out sort of like your overall time management schedule on when to apply. Okay. So I believe we're going to open it up. We have plenty of time for questions, and I know we've gotten lots of questions through the chat and also when you registered. So let's see what we can come up with here. Let me check it out and see what we have here. Okay. So there was a question about, we do offer dual degree programs, and there was a question if somebody was admitted to the MSEDS program, could they then do a dual degree with MSEAI? So that I'll answer that one. That answer to that is no. We don't dual degree between MSEDS and MSEDI. We do not dual degree between MSEDS and MSEAI. For those individuals that are interested in a dual degree program, our MCIT students could dual degree into DS or to AI, depending on where their interests and their career goals lie. So, for example, if you're admitted to the MCIT program and you're also interested in either DS or AI, when you're in your last semester of MCIT, you can apply to the dual degree program. So you could apply to either DS or AI through the dual degree program. It's an abbreviated application. You need a 3.5, I think it is, GPA to be considered for the dual degree program. And if admitted, 4 courses from MCIT would count for that second degree. So if you apply to the MSEDS program dual degree wise and admitted, 4 MCIT courses would count for DS, or if it's AI, 4 MCIT courses would count for AI, and it only leaves you 6 more courses to get that second degree. Okay, that's our dual degree program. The thing to keep in mind is if you're interested or if you think you might be interested in the DS program, we always tell our new students to talk to their student advisor, let their student advisor, their academic advisor, know that they could be interested, because you want to make sure that you're taking the right courses so that they can double count into that second program. Okay, so that's important to remember. There's some individuals that may not want an entire second program. You can also do a certificate. So you can get through the MCIT program, you could do a certificate in DS or AI as well. Those are options as well. So the MCIT program can lead to either a dual degree or certificate programs as well. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. The next question, Morgan, maybe this one's for you. It says, for the employment history section of the application, it says to list 3 of my most recent employers, but allows the options to add more. Should I only include my 3 most recent employers, or should I include all previous employers? Also, should I include internships or only full-time job experience?
Yeah, so for the actual application, you can include your 3 most recent employers. I would say if full-time, unless you felt like your internship was like particularly important to include there, but for your resume, including any and all history and representing that how you feel is the most relevant, whether that's like the 3 most immediate recent ones or not. But yeah, the 3 most recent would be fine there, and then using the resume for everything else.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next question we have, which is a little bit specific, but it says, I am 15 years out of undergrad. So they graduated 15 years ago from undergrad, but I have strong professional resume, Uber, Google, et cetera. What's the best way to maximize the value of my work experience, given that I've been out of academics for some time? So their academics is old, but they have great work history. What should they do?
Yeah, so it is a holistic application, so we want to emphasize that. So for your work experience, if you're looking at your strengths coming from there, really suss out what are those strengths, how do you want to represent them? Are they projects? Are they leadership experience? Or have you done a lot again, like on your own time, whether that's certifications, anything like that you want to include and highlight as your strengths are important. Technical abilities, depending on which program you're applying for, all of those can be represented. Um, and this is also a time where we might see applicants consider the GRE if they really want to add one more piece to show an academic component, because it is an academic program, right? You are coming back into the classroom in an online format, rigorous computing coursework. So we really want to make sure applicants, will succeed, and that can be a way applicants show us on top of a strong work experience. That they're ready to succeed in academically. So that's where we see the GRE being is something that a lot of people consider, or a course like we were talking about. So let's say it's MCIT, for example, and you didn't have any mathematics background, you never took anything. That's where we might see an applicant go take a course as well. I would say we don't have a preference. Well, we need a grade in a course or a score to be considered like the highest evidence. But if you feel like getting back in the classroom and learning a little bit of that math would actually be a good benefit to you, that might be something that applicants trend more towards taking the course. But if you feel like the GRE might be a better bang for your buck, cost wise, time wise, that can be an option just to add something new to your application as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really important too, and you hit upon something. There's a lot of individuals or a lot of applicants that have, excellent professional experience. They've been out of school a while, they have excellent professional experience, but that doesn't always mean that you're going to be successful in the classroom, because you've been out of the classroom for so long. So, in the job of the admissions committee is to make sure that individuals that they're admitting into the program are going to be successful in the program. That's their role. So that's why sometimes if you've been out for a while, like Morgan said, it might be best to show current proof that you can do well academically in a classroom setting. And that's where the GRE could come into a play. Or like Morgan said, individuals sometimes go and they'll take a brush up course, whether it's a math course or whatever it is, depending upon the program they're applying to, and submit that transcript with a grade. So sometimes we do see applicants that graduated a while ago submitting more recent proof that they can do well academically in the classroom. So again, that's it's up to you on how you want to, shape that or work that out as well. Okay, great points. Um, this is another one that kind of goes along with that. This is a good question. I plan on taking Penn's MOOCs, so we have some on-demand courses that are on our website that you can take. They're not for credit, so there's no grade, but I'm planning on taking Penn's MOOCs offered by Coursera as part of my effort to prove quantitative ability. Would that help my application, or should I do something else? You've been talking about this, Morgan, but can you just kind of clear that up for them as well? Yeah.
Yeah, so highest proof of evidence, let's say that is a grade or a score. But we look at everything. Everything is holistic. So the MOOCs can be helpful in showing us that you're pursuing online learning, that you are getting used to, again, that online format. But they don't have assessments, they don't have grades, they don't have a way for us to know how you did, what you took away from the course, how much you were really able to learn from it. And so that's where that differentiation comes from. But we want to see it all. Everything that you've done in that regard, again, it shows you're pursuing that education, shows you're dipping your toe into the online learning. So please include everything. But when it is coming to quantitative ability, we want to be clear that it isn't the evidence we're looking for, like a grade or a score.
Yeah, for sure. MOOCs are looked upon favorably, um, just in general. For those of you that are interested in the MCIT program, there are certain MOOCs that we offer through Coursera. One is computational thinking and problem solving that is taught by Susan Davidson, which is a professor that teaches an elective in the MCIT program. And then there's also specialization in programming. It's Python and Java. That's taught by Brandon Krakowski. And Professor Krakowski teaches the first course in the MCIT program. And a lot of the lectures that are in that MOOC, in that specialization, are the same lectures that are in the first course. It just doesn't come with all the bells and the whistles and the projects and the homework and everything else that comes along with it when it's delivered in the program. So they're great. What we say about the MOOCs, it's a great way for applicants or for new students to learn a little bit about what the program and what the courses are kind of like. So it's almost like a try it before you buy it sort of option for you. But if you really need to prove quantitative ability, like Morgan said, that may not be enough to push the bar, to push the needle. You may need that graded course, or you may need the GRE. So MOOCs alone may not necessarily be enough to push you over the bar for quantitative ability, but they're definitely great in preparing for the program, or for getting a good feel for what the program's like, or for understanding you know, the details or whatnot. It's definitely a great option that's looked upon favorably, but not necessarily maybe enough for proof of quantitative ability. Okay. This is a really good question. We get a lot of times we get applicants that maybe are not successful the first time when they apply, and they're denied. And this question saying, I was denied in the past. What can I do to improve my application? How should I go about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So There's a couple different things you should do. One is consider everything you submitted so far and make sure that there's anything you want represented differently or more emphasized, anything that you should tweak, any strengths you feel like were not represented to their fullest ability. That's one thing to do. Of course, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, but also focusing on anything new, anything additional. That's going to be the other important piece. And that's built into the personal statement as well. So if you are a reapplicant, that'll just be an additional question for you to answer in that personal statement. So that is your place to put it verbatim, what it is you want to show that is new. So we see applicants do a few different things to add to their application. So that GRE that we're talking about, that's something that they can go do additionally. They can do now, and they can do it to add to their next application. Of course, depending on your timeline, that may also be possible. And maybe it's a MOOC, maybe it's Coursera's, maybe that's what is available to you. And we have applicants for sure take those and add those as what they've done new. But if it's coming down to something like quantitative ability, that might be what you really want to focus on, is what has changed with your quantitative ability. Did you take a course? Did you take an exam? If you are just looking at your overall application and improving, you might focus on just general academic success from the coursework or from the GRE. Or again, like the MOOCs, anything that you've done to prepare technical wise or quantitative wise, all of those can show progress. Of course, if you have a new job or new responsibilities, new projects, so as you can get the theme here, new. But don't discount, like I said, going through your original application with a fine-tooth comb and making sure everything is really represented to the best of their ability, including letters of recommendation. Do you want to ask the same folks? You can, but maybe that's something you should put thought into. Is there anybody else who might write a stronger letter? Is there anything on your resume you think should have been highlighted more in particular? Maybe you have computer science courses you're using to qualify for the data science program. Were they clearly marked? Did you really highlight them as well? Like if you really want important courses highlighted, if you have, like we were talking about, generic math courses that kind of need a little bit of explanation, do you want to add that to your resume? So just anything that you feel like you could add as opposed to submitting the same application. That's really what you want to spend time.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing to keep in mind too, as a reapplicant, there is a reapplicant essay, which is really where you need to identify what is different this time. What have you done with your application, or what have you done since the last time you applied to make you a stronger applicant? So that should definitely all be laid out. And Morgan's right. Just, what we tell reapplicants is go through every element. Just like we said, look at each element separately and think about it. Did I ask the right recommenders? We have some applicants that they ask two friends to recommend them. Friends are a no-no, like Morgan said. We're not looking for friend or families to recommend you. If you chose two family members or a friend and a family member, perhaps that's the reason why you weren't successful. Personal statement. Did you answer all the questions, like Morgan said? Like, you need to go through each element individually and see if you've met what we're telling you to do with these elements and what the requirements are for each element. I think that's a great way to go through it for sure. Okay, let's see. This one is a course, and it looks like a course schedule curriculum. How many courses do we take per semester, and how long does it take to finish the master's program? Great question.
Yeah, you have the flexibility to take one course at a time, fall and spring, and you do not have to take summers. So you have a maximum of 5 years to complete the program. We see an average of 2 to 3 years because folks do have the ability to take however many they want per semester. Maybe they have time for one in their first semester, they're ready to do two, and then maybe they don't have time for summer, and then they have time for three the next fall. You can really do whatever you want, and you'll have an academic advisor as well to actually talk through this with every semester. These are the classes I'm taking. This is my work schedule. This is what I have going on, and make your best selections. But it's really dependent on you, what you have time for. Do you want to take summer? Do you not? But up to 5 years, and it is extremely flexible in that regard, for sure.
Yeah, it's important to remember. Morgan mentioned this during the slide presentation, but keep in mind, Each course, what students are telling us, this is information is coming from students. It takes 15 to 18 hours per course per week. That's the estimate. 15 to 18 hours per course per week. So when you're thinking about that and you're planning out your course schedule, that's what you want to think about. So, if you think about it, two courses is almost another full-time job, is basically what it comes down to. So need to think about that. Morgan mentioned that's a question in the personal statement. So you need to be thinking this out long before you're hopefully admitted to the program. The other thing, we have a lot of students do take one course at a time. We always recommend new students take either one or two courses their first semester. You have to take two if you're going to be receiving federal aid, FAFSA, student loans through FAFSA, then you're required to take the two courses per semester. But we recommend either one or two to start out, get your feel for it, get your feet wet, and then you can take it from there and decide what you want to do. We have a great group on our Slack, on the student Slack network. It's called the Turtle Network or the Turtle Club, and they take one course at a time. It's going to take them 5 years to get through the program, and they all support one another, and it's great. So you're welcome to be part of the Turtle Club as well. So. And it looks like just a couple more questions. We're getting close on time here. Question here. It says, is it possible to apply to more than one program in a single application cycle? And if an applicant is rejected from MSEDS, but are competitive for the MCIT program, could they get recommended to enroll without needing to reapply? Couple questions in there, Morgan, but can you explain that?
Absolutely. So we have one application, and your application will be considered for all programs as long as you check a box telling us you would like us to do so. So let's say you are applying for MCIT. You say, I've got a little bit of experience. I've taken a couple classes. I could be overqualified. I'm going to go ahead and address that, but I'm open to other programs. You could be admitted to data science. You maybe don't have a computer science degree, but you've taken enough computer science, or you've been working in coding for a couple of years and have a math degree, something like that. Yeah, we might offer you a data science spot if that is what you're open to. Conversely, let's say somebody applies for the AI or the data science program, but they don't have that computer science background, or they don't have quite enough computer science courses. They could be offered the MCIT program as well. So as long as you check that box, you will not fill out anything separately. You can't even fill out a second application. It's all one application. And you do want to tailor your application to the one that you're most interested in. So you'll write your personal statement based on that and everything, but you would not be in any way like at a disadvantage if you're not admitted to that first program, but everything's addressed AI. You're still going to be considered for MCIT as if you had applied to MCIT. So I hope that helps answer that.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. And when Morgan says that it's one application for all of our online programs. So 3 online programs, one application. And there is, like Morgan said, there's a question on that there on the application that says, do you want to be considered for other programs? And that's exactly what Morgan just explained. If for some reason you apply to AI, don't have that computer science degree, if you check off yes, we could consider you for the MCIT program if you check off yes. So just so that you understand that. Looking at, there's just a couple other late questions that are coming in here, Morgan. It says, will I get access to some career service support services similar to the in-person Penn students? So can you explain our career services department?
Yeah, we have career services that are platformed and dedicated to virtual students. So they specialize in our virtual students in our programs. They do traditional career counseling, one-on-one, virtual, available to you on flexible time zones. They do traditional job boards, but they also do some location events. They will go on what they call road trips, and they'll go to some of these bigger cities, possibly do local events as well, but they're really specialized in our students and our programs, maybe those career pivoters, maybe those people that are looking to change into tech, or people who are really trying to launch into that data science AI field. They are the experts, and doing so in a flexible format for our online students.
Yeah, for sure. We have a great love our career services department. They're amazing. I would recommend for more information on that, go to our YouTube channel and look up our webinars that our career service, we feature our career service team as well as alumni in the same webinar. Great webinar for you to watch to get more information on that as well. Okay, we only have a few more minutes left. If we didn't, we're going to talk a little bit about if we didn't answer a question and you have more questions, what should you do? So let's go ahead and talk about your next steps, and we'll bring the slide presentation back up and talk about what you should do now if you have more questions. Just so that you know, you guys asked amazing questions. There were over 100 questions, I believe almost 110 questions that were answered in the Q&A, plus what Morgan and I answered live on screen. So great job with all your questions. But okay, we're gonna wrap it up, and let's say the webinar goes off and you think of 10 more questions. What should you do? Well, number one, go to our website. We have a great FAQ database. So you definitely want to go there, look for your questions in that database. Most likely you will find an answer there. If you don't, another option, or in conjunction with that, sign up for office hours. All of our admissions team, every one of us, we hold office hours. I believe there's options almost every day of the week, including evenings and weekends. So lots of opportunities to meet and speak one-on-one with somebody from the admissions team. So you definitely want to do that. In addition, we're going to have a lot more events this application cycle. We hold coffee chats almost every week. So coffee chats are basically a live Q&A session, excuse me, where you get to ask your questions. And that's all it is. There's no formal presentation. You ask questions, we answer. Very informal, no formal presentation, nothing to worry about. If you don't feel like you have questions, come anyway and listen to what other people are asking. Another great way to learn about our programs is through coffee chats. I know we have a webinar coming up in July. It's with Professor Susan Davidson. You heard me mention her name before. She is extremely popular professor here and researcher here. She's going to be talking about the MCIT program in July. I forget the exact date, but use that QR code and you can go on to our website and you can look that up. We also have a webinar coming up in August where we're going to be featuring alumni as well as our career development, our professional development team as well, and lots more things, lots more events throughout the cycle. So keep an eye on our events section of our website. And that'll keep you kind of in the loop on everything that we're offering and that you can get involved with. Always email us. We're happy to answer your questions. The team does a great job of answering questions. We try to do it within 24 hours. Obviously not on the weekends because we all like to take a little break, but definitely during business hours, we're answering questions within 24 hours. So there's our email address. Please feel free to email us. So that's about it. Morgan, amazing. Thank you so much for breaking down that application. Great job. And everyone, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And again, we're happy to help you. So be sure you reach out. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.